Right, well, we're going to do a twisted design in a pen blank. Firstly, I'm going to start off with, this is a little bit of Queensland maple, and this is the sap. And I'll say that's the sap, I'll tell you that's the sap because that is the wood. So what I've cut it out of is a piece of wood. In fact, I'll show you. I try to knock the camera. So there's the actual piece of wood. There's the sapwood on the side, and that's the natural colour of the timber. A beautiful, rich, reddish Queensland maple, and it's quite scarce these days, as it was harvested back in the 18 and early 1900s as furniture timber. And one of my earlier videos, I've turned a piece for a cheese board for my wife, and she loves it. It's beautiful timber, but it's very hard on the nose. So whatever we do, we have to use a respirator, or certainly some sort of protection. Otherwise, I'll be sneezing away, and I don't know whether it's toxic, but it is it really upsets the allergies. So these are the two timbers we're going to use. In fact, they're the same timber, but the two colours of the timber. We're going to use the red as the accents, and I've already trimmed that down to the thickness of a saw cut, and I'll show you how I did that. And we're going to use this blank. Now it has a little bit of spalting in the bottom of the blank, but I think that we're making the red the feature, so I'll cut it at the top of the blank, which is quite without a figure. It's fairly straight grain, got a very mild grain pattern in it, so that the red of the timber stands out. So first off, we will cut our blank. So in this process, we actually use the exact blank size that we're going to use, and we go to the next process, which is on the saw, and I've got a jig to show you how we do our cross hatching, which will end up as a twist on the pen once. Okay, so here's the jig. As you can see, it's just a square piece of timber with a block of wood screwed at the angle, and I've only eyeballed the angle. It's probably it's not 45 degrees. It's probably 30 degrees, or so. I've only eyeballed it as to what will be effective, and I hold it just up against my fence, and I run it through, making sure as we do that obviously we don't cut through the blank. We're cutting halfway through the blank, and all we do there is to keep it in place and keep the hands out of the way while we're doing that. Yeah, oh, he says. He's keeping that firm and of course out of the way of the saw blade, and we just cut through that. That's the first cut. So it cuts through on an angle like that. So having done the first cut, we rotate once, 180 degrees, to make the second cut. And rotate again. And once more. And of course they pop out of the hand. And that's the process. That's all there is to it, and from there we're going to use our infill to glue into each of these sections, and I'll do that up with some medium CA glue, and I'll show you what that looks like once it's all glued up. Now I did say that I'd also show you how that my method of getting that down to the thickness to fit in there, and I do it on my my thicknesser, but because it's very thin, it's only 4mm, and what I do use is this extra table. Very simply, just a piece of wood. It's 15mm, so it allows me to slip that straight underneath the cutters, and that locks it in there, so it's not going any further. And so that when I put I bring a piece of stock down to the 4mm, I can get it even lower than that, down to paper thin. But you've got to be very careful and take very light cuts when you certainly get into that thickness. Okay, so that's how we did it, and now I'll show you how this looks once we put it together. One thing that I didn't mention but is very important, and that is, if you have a look there, you'll see that the cuts don't go through to the center. You'll find that if you don't give about 1/8 of an inch or 3mm distance between the two cuts, that if you cut to the middle, what you're going to do is you're going to have trouble fitting the flutes in those pieces. So make sure you can see there, just the nick of the blade has just started. You can just see it come through in the center there. So that's very important. Just make sure that when you're doing that, don't come more than 1/8 of an inch, or the width of the blade. Actually, it's the width of the kerf. So make sure you don't come more than that close, so that every time as you now put in your pieces, they'll fit perfectly. Okay, so all the gluing's done up, and your pen blank should now look like this. We're going to smooth all that off and get ready to turn the blank. So there we are. There's the blank, all ready and prepared for turning. We're just going to drill a hole and insert the brass sleeve. So, drilling the blank. Make sure in this case it is very well centered. In my homemade blank holding jig, which all I've done is put a bolt through a couple of pieces, and I've got a little 45-degree angle on each. It's larger on this side than this one, so it just holds it in position, and then I pop a clamp on it. So that's locked, that's not going anywhere. And then just drill a hole. One hole, nice and centered. Okay, so we've now fitted our brass sleeve in the center of our pen blank, and we're ready to turn. A lot of the mandrels, or the main mandrels, have come with a tension screw at the back here. I'm lucky, well, I guess I have a centre which is hollow and which slides over the bar, so I can support it right up to the end of the bushing. So no matter where the bushings are on the mandrel, I get a nice support. So that slides over the mandrel right up to the bushing, and then we can lock that down. Just put a little bit of pressure on it to make sure that that's not going to move, and then lock it down there. As I said before, particularly with this piece of wood, but in most things I use a dust mask that's going to sort of keep out any nasty fibres. So, on to turning the pen. Mask in place. Okay, so we can see the pattern emerging straight away. I'll give you a better look at that. So there you are. It's you can see it's quite a striking pattern that's going to develop on the pen itself. So it should look lovely when it's all down to size and polished up. Okay, so we've just run through the sandpaper up to 600 grit, and I'm just about to apply some CA. So we'll apply that, and I'll show you another shot when that's done. Just a couple of drops of thin CA glue on there. And give it a touch with the accelerator. And we'll put another coat on. This is the coat I use for filling any little gaps or little holes or blemishes in the material, and that seals it and gets it to a stage where the thicker coat goes on. Okay, so that's the coat with just, the blank with just 2 coats of CA finish on it now. So I'll now build up another 4 coats of the medium CA before we start on our micro mesh. Okay, so we've got quite a nice finish that has been formed, and I've just left it for a couple of minutes just to make sure that CA finish has gone off and it's quite dry. And now we'll start using the micro mesh, and we start off with a 1500 grit, and I'll work through all the grits right up to 12,000. We don't have to be too aggressive with it, as it'll, I think this might be a bit dirty. Get a new piece of paper. No, we don't have to be too aggressive because we don't want to break through our coating we've just put on. We just want to give it a nice smooth finish, and then we'll finish off with a little bit of plastic polish. But what we'll do as a further polish, I'm using a Meguiar's product, a mirror glaze, just a little dab of that, and that's for a show car glaze. So very professional, and it gets a very deep shine, and that's what we're looking for on our pens. So we only need to put just a slight dab on the end of our paper. Spread that across the pen, just work it in, and work the surface a little bit. And then with a clean piece we'll up the speed. Gives us a light glass finish. So I'll take this off the lathe, and I'll show you the product. Very quick to remove, and there we have it. You see the glinting and the lovely finish that we've got on that. Okay, time to put the pen together. Right, so there's the final article. As you can see, it's got a lovely shine to it. And it's an attractive pen and something unique. And it's a lovely gift to give away to someone who's special, an executive, or it's probably appropriate. I feel like I often go around the twist, so there you go. So that's my twisted pen. Thanks for watching.